Hello and welcome back to Only Analog. We've got quite a special one today. We've been sent a lovely gift from Lomography UK. So guys, if you're watching, thank you very much. So today is a small review on the Lomo LC-A 120, or as I like to call it, the Holga on steroids. Once we received this, we did a little bit of research, and I think originally these retailed at about £450. Now that's a lot for a plastic camera. So is this medium format point and shoot worth the price? Well, we're going to find out today.
So without further ado, this is today's video.
So today's first roll through the camera is Lomochrome purple. As this was our first roll through the LCA, it only felt right to put some experimental lomography film through a lomography camera. But trust me, you'll definitely want to stick around for some of the black and white shots. Some of these are really special. If Lomochrome purple isn't your jam, however, you can use the time codes or the chapters below to skip ahead to your preferred film stocks. Enjoy.
So we're going to talk about our first impressions, as we always do in these reviews. So this camera, to start off with, really gave me an odd vibe. It was the plasticky nature of it when I first see the camera, but when I see the images out of this camera, I changed my mind instantly. As you know, me and Josh really like our premium 120 cameras, and this has changed our mind in regards to what you spend on a camera.
Once we received this, we did a little bit of research, and I think originally these retailed at about £450. Now that's a lot for a plastic camera. As Tom said, after we had a little play with it and we saw some of the results, it completely changed our mind.
The lens in this camera isn't plastic like what you'd find on the Holgas and the Dianas and the other lenses. That is actually a proper glass lens, and I think for the money you're paying for the lens, I think, in that body, then you are paying for anything else. So yeah, very, very impressed by the image quality out of this camera. Obviously on first impressions as well, when we took it out of the box, you know, it is of a plastic nature, there is some metal there. But putting our first roll through the camera itself, we opened up the back, and this was really difficult to load our first rolls. There's not a great deal of space in here, which was the first real worry. It's putting it back in that's the tricky bit. So 6 hours later. There we go. But yeah, I mean, this does come out, it does expose all the electronics in there. But if you do own one of these and you take this out, it is a little bit easier to load the film into. So just something to bear in mind.
to be honest, I wouldn't normally think twice about buying a camera like this at that sort of price. Even on eBay, they're going for around what, £200, £200-300 sometimes.
Yeah.
From what we've seen anyway, they're quite. I mean, the 120 ones are. You rarely stumble across them. We didn't actually know that they had it in a 120 version.
Yeah.
We just assumed it was the 35. In regards to the price, for a medium format camera for a wide angle lens, you're pushing into the realms of £600, £700, £800, depending on what you're shooting. Having that wide angle lens in this camera is just an absolute game changer.
Yeah. This camera takes the cake because it's black, it's sleek, easy for street photography. Chuck it in your bag, you go hiking with it. It's ideal for that. Yes, it's got a plastic in nature, but I think it would take a drop or two before it would fall apart. Now, Josh was saying about the price earlier, £450 to £400 for this camera. On eBay you might find it cheaper, but try and find another medium format camera that cheap, other than a fold out, something that does everything for you. You know, this camera does the exposure for you. All you've got to do is wind on and shoot the camera, which you don't really find very often in 120 cameras.
No.
I don't think there's many point and shoot 120 cameras other than the Fuji line of cameras, what are now stupidly expensive, $600 to £1,000. Would I buy that instead? Probably.
So in regards to the quality itself, this lens is insanely sharp. I mean, we shot it, as we said, in range of different lighting conditions, and every time it seems to be super sharp. You do get a little bit of vignette around the outside, which actually changed depending on the lighting situation, actually.
Yeah.
You do get a slight loss of sharpness around the edges as well.
Softness.
Yeah, I mean, it's not massive, but you can start to notice it around the edges. As I said, it isn't a bad thing at all. I kind of like that sort of softer edge look with the sharpness in the middle. I think we've said it before in another video or lens. I sort of like that softness around the outside.
TLR videos where the centre is really sharp, but you've got the soft outer edge.
Yeah.
And it gives that really nice look to black and white photos.
after seeing the shots and scanning them, it didn't miss an exposure once. You know, there was no under or overexposed shots in there. You know you're never going to miss an exposure. As long as you're in focus, you're going to be good to go every single time. The LC-A is a great street photography camera. For those of you that have watched the channel, you'll know that I struggle a little bit with street photography, and I quite often have a medium format camera with me while we're shooting out and about. And I really want to push myself into that aspect of street photography, and this is an absolute game changer. I mean, as long as you've got your ISO down, you've got your zone focus on the right setting, you're literally good to go. This thing is so wide, you can literally hold it by your waist and you can snap away and no one is going to know. I mean, this thing is wide. You look through the viewfinder and I'm pretty sure that it actually goes wider than what you see through the viewfinder. So I mean, you know, as long as you're pointing in roughly the right direction, you're going to get an absolute banger, in my opinion.
The viewfinder points you in the right direction, but you actually got more than what?
Yeah, you get a little bit. I think you get a little bit more than what you see through the viewfinder.
Yeah.
In there, yeah. So I just want to talk about the black and white that we've put through this camera so far. We've put a few rolls through. So upon looking at some of the scans from the HP5, I was absolutely blown away. If I'd looked at those scans through something like my 6.7, you know, it would be standard. I'd fully expect that from my 6.7.
Yeah.
That sort of quality and those sort of results. I don't know what magic's going on with this lens, but HP5 through this just seems to be an absolute match made in heaven. And I think that's what I've been calling it, the Holga on steroids. I mean, you know, this is a plastic feel medium format camera. Having it as a point and shoot, getting results like that out of it are just unreal. So yeah, obviously, essentially, this is a medium format point and shoot. You know, you set the things that you set for yourself with the ISO on the top. It does have a multiple exposure button as well, so you can play around and do some artsy Lomo style shots with that, if that tickles your pickle. Obviously, you've got your focusing, you've got your distancing on the side that you can adjust. But other than that, the camera does the rest for you. I'm not really too knowledgeable on the aperture blades that are in here. Obviously the camera has a built-in light meter and it understands once you set your ISO what it needs to be shooting at, but I don't know the actual limit of apertures that are in here, whether it's 3, 4, who knows. I mean, there's probably some information out there.
And when we first got the camera, me and Josh was like a bit shocked.
We was panicking a bit.
We was panicking a bit, like we both said. When we got the results back, our jaws both dropped the floor because it is astounding how
really
good that lens is. So the one thing that I would do for this Lomography camera to add to my preference and my overall usability of this camera is the fact that you have inside the camera, as Josh showed earlier, you can remove that bit in the middle. Now if you could come up with a 645 insert or a 35mm insert, so you can run 35mm, or you can get a little bit extra out of your 120 film, I think that would be a massive asset to this camera. Not only for a selling point, but for those film users out there that want to get the most out of their film. Other than that, I think I would pay probably the money for it. I'd definitely be looking out for one for my own collection. Every time me and Josh went out of it, he was like, oh, I miss my Pentax 6.7. And then he was in his next breath was like, yeah, but this is so light, you can just put it in your bag and take it wherever you need. And
it's
then,
not a backbreaker.
Yeah, it's not a backbreaker. So I think, yeah, it's definitely one to carry around if you're out with your 35mm cameras and you want to get that extra bit of detail in your images, and you want to shoot some 120.
Yeah, this has been along with us to a few different locations now. Every time me and Tom have been out doing a project, which we've been doing a lot of recently, there's some exciting stuff coming up. We won't talk about that. But yeah, every time we get a sort of a break or a moment in these projects, we've been taking this out and shooting with it, and it's just been an absolute wonder.
And there's just something about the camera that, you know, you can't part with it now. It's part of the only analog fam, I'm afraid. Yep. Sorry, Hannah, if you wanted this back. You can have it back if you want it back, but...
You have to fight me for it, I'm afraid. Personally, when you think about Lomography, you think very experimental. Obviously, they're an experimental film brand. Quite often, your mind runs to the Holgas, the Dianas, all their experimental films. You know, when we first got our hands on this and, you know, we started thinking about a review, there was no part of my mind that expected the results out of this that I did when we first got it. This lens is top notch. As we said a few times, obviously that's where the main bulk of the price is coming in, I think.
Well, yeah. How much is that? Is it 55mm 2.8 for a Pentax 6.7?
Yeah.
You'd be paying. You could buy two of them.
Yeah. Yeah, you really could. Yeah.
2 or 3 of them. You know what I mean? So for the price of what it is, I think it's actually fairly priced.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. For a 120 film camera.
What do you reckon, Rex? You have a look? What's the verdict, pal? So obviously, just to wrap this up, you know, it is slightly pricey, I suppose, in terms of point and shoots, if you're looking down that route. If you're looking down the route of, are you going to buy a wide angle lens for your medium format camera? This is probably the better option. So I mean, you've got to weigh up the two options, really. For me, after shooting this, it was an absolute pleasure to work with. I'm definitely going to be taking it out more often on shoots, just pop it in the bag. As we've said, I'm still blown away by the results, and I'm definitely going to be continuing to shoot with it. You're probably definitely going to see it again on the channel in the near future, I imagine.
That's if Lomography let you keep it.
Yeah. We just want to say a massive thank you again to Lomography UK for sending us this camera. But we also have another special thanks to give today, and that is to Nicks and Tricks Photographic Services. All of the colour you have seen in today's episode were developed by Nicks and Tricks. These guys have always delivered outstanding quality service to us and have since become good friends. Always there to lend advice and knowledge, and have helped us create amazing new content. They also have a great range of your favourite film stocks at a really great price, and they also stock some of the more unique films that are difficult to find elsewhere. We'll leave the link below to their store, so definitely head over and check them out.
So that wraps up today's video. Hopefully you watched our video to the end and you found a little gem. So if you like the content in today's video, please remember to like, comment and subscribe.
And please remember to hit that little bell icon as well. It will let you know every time we release a new video.
So thank you ever so much for watching today and tuning in, and we will catch you in the next one. Peace.